with no further ado,
guys, thank you so much for being here, for sharing this occasion with me. A lot of you have kind of known me for a long time. You've supported me on Kickstarter, and just in person, it's very touching to see so many familiar faces. A lot of people to thank, naturally. I want to start with Emil, who is already in the very back. For a really lovely introduction. Thank you very much. Really lucky to have you guys as friends. I want to thank Rabbi Dov Yona Korn, who is, of course, the director of this wonderful Chabad house, and Sarah Korn, his Rebbitzin. They've been incredibly kind to me over the years. This was actually my first stop in New York, so it's a very meaningful kind of a full circle in a sense. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it tonight, but they send their best wishes. Next, I want to thank, of course, without any reservation, with the fullest intent, my wife Jennifer, because of course none of this would be even close to possible without her. Not because she wrote the book for me, but because it really takes a special woman not only to put up with a writer, because writing is a very solitary sport. There's no secret there. But to have her not only put up with it, but to encourage it and to make sure that the book actually got done. It got done really well. That's something that I almost can't imagine. That's unbelievable. Then I want to thank, of course, my little daughter, who was just born 5 weeks ago, Leora. In a funny way, even though it took me about 7 years to write this book, this was all for her. In a funny way, even in the darkness and the blindness, with all the craziness of New York and all the career changes and all of that, it's really for her. She's hopefully, when she grows up, she'll see the meaning in it. I want to thank my mom. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it tonight, but she's largely responsible for this whole craziness. She's the one who pushed me to read a lot, and to kind of look at writing as something that's not just aspirational but real. And not to mention for bringing me into this world. I want to thank my Kickstarter supporters, because without them, this would be just one long slog without an end in sight. And these are people that pretty much bet on this horse, not knowing anything but, okay, this is the guy that I know as a friend, and he pretends, maybe to write. So thank you very much for all of you guys. I'm really tremendously grateful, and thank you for your patience, most of all. I want to thank Ilya Starobinets and another friend who couldn't make it, David Alexander. It's very hard to thank a person who's lived a book with you, in many different ways, through all the career changes, all the moving, all the just crazy upheaval. There's no adequate way to say thank you, but thank you. Let's start with that. I want to thank, in general, all of my friends, all the people that I've met in these last 9 years, even before that, in New York. It's really great to have people that believe in you and that think that you're actually going to amount to something as a writer, which is, half of New York has a novel in their in their drawers. So to have people believe that you're going to finish is pretty awesome. So thank you. I want to thank my illustrator, who's actually a Blueprint fellow as well, Margarita Carroll. She's in Chicago, so she couldn't make it tonight. But look, let's be frank. You can write a great book, but if the cover sucks, it ain't selling. So this is her work. This is really awesome. I also want to thank Cardozo Law School for turning me into a writer. It sounds funny, but it's true. I started writing this book when I was in law school, and I feel like I spent half the time in my favorite little cafe actually fleshing this out, and what the hell, it worked out. So, and of course, I want to thank everybody who's here. Thank you for taking the time out on a Tuesday evening to come out. This really means a great deal to me. Thank you. I want to mention a couple other people who are making this evening possible. I want to thank Tim, who's on security. I want to thank Sonia, who's doing the tabling downstairs. And I want to thank Maxime, who's the cameraman. They've all really kindly agreed to help me this evening, so thank you. You know, as it happens, this very evening, 21 years ago, my mom and I flew into JFK, and this was our first day in the US. So it's a very interesting little, I don't know what you call it, closing of circles, whatever you have. We flew on to Kentucky, we didn't stay here. But somehow, 21 years later, here we are. So, and of course, in between, you know, Kentucky and this moment, we had Baltimore, we had Philly, we had Phoenix, we had Irvine, we had Lubbock, and so on. So, in some ways, all of these episodes, all of these experiences are in this book. So, this book, in many ways, something Ilya can talk to. This is pretty much, this is my 20s. My 20s are in this book. For better, for worse, this is what it is. So I guess the better you know me, the more you'll get from the book. But there's a lot in this little thing. So I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it from a writing end. So to talk a little bit about the book, I don't want to go on and on. You can read it and give me your opinion later. But in many ways, it's kind of an ode to New York. I really love this city. I've spent 9 years here. It's taken my blood, my sweat, my tears, everything else you can imagine. But somehow I'm here, survived it. Thank God, got married, had a kid. These are momentous miracles. Nothing short of it. So, you know, without further ado, I'm just going to start reading. So we're going to start with chapter 8, which is on, bless you. This is on page 99. 8:45 a.m. Across the highway from 200 West Street stood Lisandro with his coffee cup. Today was Champ's first day at work for Vampire Squid, the celebrated villain Goldman. He'd made it, or at least could live on trying. Last night's dream left him feeling groggy and unsettled if sunbathed. Legions of suits and heels were at his back, ready to charge up to Olympus for God's work. On green, he crossed among them, past the earpieced guards, inside to Mordor. The ultra-modern airy minimalism was clean, professional on all accounts. The two concierges could have been ex-special forces built Ford tough in Heartland. Firm but courteous, efficient. No jokes would fly astray in here. A third one waved them in. Inside the well-spied elevators, secrets would, with time, fly out like fairy dust. Meanwhile, the crowd filed in was stone-faced dapper, pressed to serve. The dark lords of the street, they knew their mission and were pissed. The stunning mezzanine looked out on Jersey and the next-door neighbors. Alacritas, sharp people of all palates darted to their posts. This was no Deutsche, black, white, spare, and spotless, but not far. The air was ripe with Sunday morning curtness, hushed and formal. On the appointed GSM floor, a mousy, brown-haired girl in glasses greeted him. Lisandro? Yes. Hi, I'm Lisa. We'll be working together. I was out sick when you were interviewed. Pleasure meeting you, Lisa. Have heard quite a lot about you. You do the pricing models, right? Correct. I do some of the risk management, too. So you grew up in Paris and in Oslo? They told me you're half Italian, half Norwegian. Yep, that's me. Cool. Welcome. The door clicked open from its magnet. She flashed an admiring smile, shy, bitchy cold at once. One sensed a goal too thinly veiled, a biting intellect caked thick enough to throttle life joy. With hair up in her contacts, in a power suit, high heels, she would go places quickly. Some things took time. He would be careful in her presence. On his new desk, 2 screens, like old times. Here was a standard issue BlackBerry, internal Goldman propaganda, and a sheet with passwords. Red carpet, secret handshake, Mason's hazing, none at all. Another bracket bulging with short chain around his neck. One savior was another's stooge. At least it was his doing with that force. This was quant heaven, leagues away from Trader's Viper Pit. In lowly 1B AUM past life, his ears had all day grated. Tranches and sausage, shit shows arbitrage, meatpacker's paradise. Who could forget flows, vixes, yards, and swaps, a swinger's long, wet dream? The others on the team came by to say hello. Rob, the VP, a star, had done his time in Quantum Bliss at MIT. Andrew and Josh, 2 of the quieter geeks, were eager to talk shop. Their Monte Carlo options model was starting to take shape. Phil, the big boss, got off his call and came to welcome him. A polished Dutchman once from Princeton Zayas, he was 2 heads, shoulders above other quants he'd met. Sandro suspected Euro sympathy to blame for his arrival here. Perhaps more than his brains. Who knew? Who cared? Perhaps Phil wanted sounding board a protege. He'd got one, happily. The house that Cliff built had survived the Great Quant Massacre and would return to glory with a tweak or two to market neutral. The morning dragged between orientation, setup, and compliance questionnaires. My God, the poor sad bastards who devoted years to Chinese walls, spying on emails, keeping house, pretentious fig leaves with a smile. They were the bottom dwellers come to roost. The era of free cash and naked shorts had lost its Weimar orgy thrill. All things considered, Vulture's feast would last. Just past noontime, the hunger demons played their tricks, emboldened by withdrawal from sleep. Employment was a welcome break from nightly chases, battles, cold sweats from near death. On coffee and no drugs, he'd managed 1 full week, but dread was settling in. Mom called some drink. Bob said to take the mind off, just keep busy. This was untenable. He looked around him sheepishly, concluding all were deep in thought. Sandro grabbed his wallet, phone, and pass, and left. He'd gone all morning without Facebook. Below at Mezzanine again, he stepped aside and watched the hordes stream to the feeding trough. Here rumbled by a whole offensive line of traders talking Knicks, and Xenia, Todds, and Breitling. Next came 3 coders, stooped, in glasses, snarling. One gray-haired partner type showed premises to clients. A team of broker gossip girls, all dressed to kill, now clattered by. On show, a mercenary troop to sell the Muppets death and taxes. Oof. Behind the din of trash talk, laughter, and strategery, the crop of cream behaved quite recognizably. Better than never to salute the party now. After his salmon, string beans, and a Kit Kat, Lissandro took a stroll outside. The river was warm and breezy, a good respite. He saw one ferry crossing to the other side, one back from Jersey. The first one landed next to Goldman Jr., largest phallus in the Garden State. He found a bench with a good view and sat. Exhaustion bearing down at last, he let a yawn and closed his eyes in sunny bliss. A quick nap to refresh was all. Reveling in the gentle heat, he dreamt of Oslo spring, of tree buds, yellow flowers, and tall pines, the breeze on a late morning walk. A rolling shadow's footsteps pattered near, but the possessor didn't show. His eyes availing of the world again, he jumped up with a start, dropping his phone. A jogger with headphones had grabbed the bench back for his reverse squats. Sandro caught spittle on his chin, disgusted. 1:30 was the time. He'd slept for 45 whole minutes. Screwed! He shot a laser glance at the offender sprinting back to work. Phil cornered him inside the door. Oh, there you are. I thought you might be lost. Look, Sandro, it's your first day, yes, I know. You have to get set up, do all that stuff. Can you start reading this today? I want you to learn it inside out. It's what some loosely call our Bible. Let's discuss tomorrow. Joshua and Andrew can help you with the administrative things. Lisa too, of course, but she's in the middle of a code review. She's a special one, you'll see. Phil was a European, that was clear. Americans had rooted out paternalism by lawsuit. In any case, the turf was drawn, the queen bitch here to stay. Maybe she wouldn't bite. They would be friends and live in a harmonic series. Maybe the Pope was Mormon too. He'd steal himself and manage through. The afternoon flew by. Sandro explored the intranet, whetting his appetite for benefits and learning. It wasn't just the name, turned out. The training was top-notch. No shitty hedge fund, fly-by-night BS. He would become well-rounded here. At 6, Phil wandered by. Get going, Sandro. Go enjoy your evening. You'll put in plenty 8 to 9s by now. But now enjoy your freedom. Just read the thing I gave you. Be ready for tomorrow night. He looked around, his eyes big with amazement. The others slaved away, their reds and greens and yellows flickering from screen to screen. The boss says, go, you go. He bid good night and grabbed his things. Outside he called Savita, fiery Brahmin beauty he once chased. Now his good friend. She had a function at the Soho House all evening. Zara was busy too, curating in Hell Week before an opening. He wanted female company tonight, flush with impressions for a lovely ear. There was no will to listen, just to speak. He scrolled through his black book, now piqued, now puzzled, giving up. Better alone than stuck and bored. Over to Park, then City Hall, he rambled on, carefree. This would become his daily back and forth for years to come. Not bad. He'd had enough of Midtown Crush, a million sour-faced suits, and gawkers, and a smart grid ad. It was much calmer in Tribeca by the water. It was with one's thoughts. Sandro got off at 28th with ready appetite and short attention span. No Indian tonight, not sushi, and not Rio Grande again. The choice was clear, a decent resto beer bar just around the corner. He sat down at a corner table, the holy grail of algorithms in his right hand. He ordered to his heart's content, moule frites, good butter, warm fresh bread, a monk sale, baritsu. The favorite butt of jokes in France, the Belgians did in fact some certain pleasures know. Black Scholes, the MPT, the TFT, CAPM, the beta coefficient.